Last question. Okay, fine. Maybe somebody asked a question after the exam got over actually. Yeah, in school exam it seems so. Okay, anything related to the work energy principle so far we have done? We just take a couple of questions or something else. Well, we haven't. You see, when we talked about the circular motion, the dynamics of circular motion, we found that most of the time we'll have to figure out the speed. Yes, Nalabrata, you can say two things, not one, if you wish. Bolo, are you speaking, writing? If you write so slow, it will take long. Why don't you speak up the with the microphone? In a particular, then write the second statement, the third. So direction F equal to ma in a particular direction. Yeah, F equal to ma is basically the components in every direction. Look at all the forces acting along the x-axis, for example. Equate that to mass into the acceleration along the x-axis. Same thing for the other directions. It's true for every direction actually, as long as applied correctly. Is okay.
Okay, sir.
Was that this was what you are meant to ask?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no problem. Because that happens because force is a vector equation. I mean, force is a vector. So Newton's second law F equal to ma, or if you just consider net force equal to dp by dt, the rate of change of momentum, both of them are vectors actually. So they can be projected in any direction. In fact, they'll be true in all directions. Okay, which also means that it may happen that the total force is not zero, net force is not zero, but it may happen that the force is zero in one direction. In which case, the momentum will be conserved in that direction actually. You know. But obviously, with work, it is not so because work is scalar, so it doesn't have direction. And accordingly, the work will be always a total work done actually. Fine. So what I was saying is, many times we'll have to look at the dynamics of circular motion. Earlier, or we just saw that in case we're dealing with circular dynamics, it is always suitable to utilize the forces along the central direction, implies toward the center of the circle, and along the tangential direction. That happens to be so because we already know the acceleration toward the center is nothing but v square upon the radius, the centripetal one. However, for that case, we require to find the speed. In most cases, you can find the speed by integrating a tangential component definitely, but it turns out the easier way out is to always utilize the work energy principle, or if the network is zero, in that case, the energy conservation, isn't it? So together with that energy conservation principle or the work energy principle, and the fact that the central direction we have the acceleration is v square upon the radius, most problems involving the circular motion, they will be just done more easily if we invoke this particular work energy principle actually. So we just take a look at a couple of them, and we shall see some of the cases, for example, what might arise. One very common situation is, for example, when something, say that we have a supposed to be hemisphere actually. So there's a hemispherical fixed object. This is a surface which is a hemispherical one, and it is fixed actually rigidly to the ground. It is fixed rigidly on the ground. It's not going to move, right? But there's a small mass at the top over here, a small object. This is a frictionless incline, frictionless hemisphere actually. This object at the top is quite obviously in an unstable equilibrium. The net force is zero right now. If I slightly disturb it, it's going to slide down, isn't it? Suppose the surface is entirely frictionless. I mean, the surface of the hemisphere is entirely frictionless. So as it slides down in any direction, for example, it slides this way, at some point of time, it loses contact with the Kadev, yes, I mean, the momentum can be conserved overall only when the net external force is zero. Actually, net external force depends on the system. Actually, okay. Whenever the net external force on a system of particles is zero, then the momentum of the system remains conserved. It may happen that within the system, the particles are exchanging momenta. It may happen that one of the particle has increased its momentum, the other one has decreased, but the total is going to be conserved as long as the net external force is zero. Earlier, what I said is because force is a vector quantity, and therefore it may happen that the net force is not zero. Yeah, Nilavartan, internal force may be zero, but they will not affect the momentum. I said that the momentum for a system is entirely determined by the external forces alone. The internal forces may be there. They may in fact change the energy, but they cannot change the momentum. Okay, the momentum can only be affected, only be changed by external forces, not by the internal one. Okay. I also was saying that though the net force, I mean, say at least for the total momentum to be conserved, the net force needs to be zero. But sometimes it may happen that the net force is not zero, but in one particular direction, the net force is indeed zero actually. And then in that particular direction, the momentum is going to be conserved, but not a total one actually. Okay. What can we prove, by the way? Anik, what are we trying to prove in this case? Internal forces, what? Yeah, we already have seen that that the internal forces, they neutralize each other because Newton's third law. Seemingly, we derived that result by assuming the Newton's third law to be valid. However, as it turns out, the momentum conservation is a much more general principle. Even beyond the domain of applicability of Newton's laws, the momentum conservation does hold if the net external force is zero actually. Even if the Newton's law is not applicable, for example, we talk about the relativistic mechanics over there, even the external forces may be zero. I mean, say, Newton's laws may not be applicable, yet the momentum will be conserved if the external forces are zero actually. Okay, so you just remember that momentum conservation is a rule, a result which is much more general compared to Newton's laws. We do have momentum equation also in quantum mechanics, also in relativistic physics, but Newton's laws are not applicable in those domains. But yet, the general principle of conservation of momentum in the absence of external forces, it remains correct actually. Fine. That's what happens. In any case, we are looking at this system where we have a hemisphere which is fixed. This hemisphere is not going to move. It is fixed. And this small object right top over here, which is in a state of unstable equilibrium, that if I just disturb it slightly, starts to fall. It starts to slide down. Assuming there is no friction between the object and the hemisphere, we need to figure out the angle by which it has moved before it loses contact with the hemisphere. And it turns out, you can just see this experimentally that if I just release some small object, I mean, say over a ball, for example, it will actually not slide all the way down here. It will just fall already somewhere in between, right? We in this case have to figure out the angle theta, which the this point mass is covered along the hemisphere, before it loses contact. Okay. The idea is that when it loses, well, why should it lose contact, by the way? First of all, why should it lose contact? The point is that as it slides down, the speed increases. Okay. Now, you notice in this case, the speed, I mean, say at any point of the path, it will have an acceleration toward the center. But the acceleration toward the center will provide by what? If I look at the FBD in this case, for example, when it's over here, right now it is in contact, we have the gravity pulling it down. A normal reaction, which is actually the reaction force from the hemisphere onto this checker. Do you want the question, or? What I was saying is, in this case, as the question is to find out the angle theta which this small mass is going to cover before it loses contact with the hemisphere. Yeah, I mean, say we can definitely consider in this case that loses contact when the normal reaction between them turns out to be zero. When the contact force between them is zero, that is when it loses contact. That can be seen why it happens because the net acceleration for this point mass, as long as it is in contact with the hemisphere, the acceleration is going to be inwards. It will be this way. That's the acceleration, v square upon the radius. V square upon r is the acceleration toward the center. This definitely is not constant. V was initially 0. As it just goes down, v square by r, v is increasing, therefore v square by r will also increase. However, if I look at the, say, net inward force at any point of time, for example, at this instant, net force toward the center actually, net force,
mg cos theta minus m.
yes, that's what we have. That is nothing but mg cos theta minus the normal reaction. So this must supply the required centripetal acceleration. So that we can equate this to mv square by r. We could easily see in this case that cos theta is obviously variable. In fact, as theta increases, cos theta is decreasing, isn't it? So the component toward the center is reducing, but speed is increasing actually. We notice from here that this we must have mg cos theta minus n providing the required centripetal acceleration. So from here I can figure out the normal reaction, and that turns out to be mg cos theta minus mv square upon the radius. Now, as we can see from here, as theta is increasing, definitely cos theta is decreasing. In fact, cos theta is decreasing function between 0 and pi by 2. So as theta increases, cos theta decreases. Also, v square is increasing actually. Yes, Ayush, I will just do that in a moment. Hold on, okay? Let me finish this part and then I'll just, okay, let me send that. In this case, as the angle theta increases, cos theta decreases, so this part is decreasing, and v square also increasing actually. So this part increases, this part decreases. Some point of time they'll just equate or they become equal. And when that happens, n will become 0. Just a moment, take a picture. Somebody did that? Okay, good. So Har has done it. Fine. There's no need. No problem, Ryan. It's okay. We are just looking at the first question itself. The question is that we have a hemisphere which is fixed, and the small mass over here, it is released from the top, disturbed slightly, it starts sliding down without any friction. So to figure out the angle theta at which it loses contact with the hemisphere. Okay. So in this case, what I was saying is, as theta, I have just equated the central force or say force toward the center, mg cos theta minus n with mv square by r to get an equation for n. In fact, I could actually find v square as well in terms of the angle theta itself by using the energy conservation. Anyway, just before doing that, we notice that as theta increases, this cos theta is going to decrease and therefore mg cos theta reduces while mv square by r increases. So some point of time they will become equal. Subsequently, after that, mg cos theta will become further less, so n will become negative, which cannot happen actually, which implies that the contact will be broken. In general, you should notice that for a contact to be broken or just a body for leaving contact, it is necessary that n becomes 0 and then it cannot be positive again. It has to be 0 and then it becomes negative. That happens, then the bodies are going to lose contact. In this case, that's what happens over there. So the idea will be to just use the fact that the angle. Yes.
Sir, when the normal reaction is becoming 0, so then is it leaving the contact or still it is in contact? But there is no force.
At that particular moment is no longer pushing the plane, but
Yes,
subsequently after that it becomes negative, n becomes negative, which indicates that it's actually losing contact.
So, but yes, sir. But at that moment, means at the moment that n is becoming 0, so it is not completely losing the contact, na?
As long as it is in contact, there will be always some force, isn't it? Because the force is 0, it implies there's no longer in contact. Had there been some contact, there will be a contact force as well. That force is 0, which implies that there is no.
So
Okay.
when it will be negative, then only it will leave the contact.
No, actually, that very no. The point is what some case sometimes happen that it becomes zero, so it just loses momentarily a contact, again becomes positive. Later on, we'll see some cases where n becomes zero first, but again becomes positive. So that point of time, it will just lose slightly and then come back. That's what the idea is. We usually this you see in this case because we are using idealized conditions, we are assuming them to be rigid actually, and also the sizes are negligible. So when I say n0, it actually implies there is no longer any contact now. It can, I mean, it is, that is what losing contact means. It may happen, it come back. That may happen. In this case, not going to happen, however, but it may happen that it's going to return back to the surface. For that case, n needs to be coming back to positive again. If it was, for example, the square of it, suppose it was square of the entire thing, then what will happen? It will become 0 at one point and then again become positive. So in that case, the contact will not be broken. It will be just losing a contact for one moment, but then subsequently returning back again. There's nothing like this. You might say that when n0, it implies the contact is not there. It's broken for at least for that instant. It is broken. Fine. It may return back, but at least in this case, it is not doing so. In this case, if it was returning back, in that case, the contact would be maintained again. But in this case, because it is no longer becoming positive, but actually becoming negative, so it is no longer going to be coming back. Okay. It's in a case, I would say, a situation which is a bit of hypothetical, because for an extended board, any real object will be always a certain amount of extension, in fact. So it will not lose contact all at one while. There will be some contact difficult to analyze, definitely, but that is what the realistic situation is. We are looking at hypothetical situations where some force can abruptly become zero, which is not going to happen in real life again. So we are looking at models. Okay, just keep that in mind. At least in this case, we're dealing with point particles. So there is going to be loss in contact abruptly, fine, and that happens when n becomes zero. So that, though you have to just be careful that n should not return back. That's the point is, if n should return back to positive number, then the contact is not actually broken. Okay, it will happen momentarily, but again it will be coming back. Okay, so
Sir, can you please explain it again?
again, which part?
Sir, this losing contact part.
Losing contact part. The point is, whenever two bodies are in contact, there will be some contact force between them, isn't it? So if we want the contact to be broken, I would like that the normal reaction should become zero. That is what I'm trying to do in this case. Whenever the normal reaction becomes zero, at that point of time, the contact will be lost between the two bodies. I was saying that if n returns back to positive value, then actually what will happen is the body will lose contact momentarily, but then again come back in contact. Okay. In this case, however, you can see that it's no longer becoming positive. It actually becomes zero and then become negative if I increase subsequently. N can never be negative. N is always a repulsive force, never attractive actually. So the normal reaction can never become negative, which implies that the contact has been broken actually. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Right. What I was saying is, therefore, the strategy will be to figure out in this case the speed square. I can figure out the speed square, plug in this equation, and then find out, then just put n equal to 0. Okay. To find out speed square, there are two possibilities. One is definitely to integrate the tangential acceleration, actually. That can be done. However, much easier is to apply the work energy principle. You know that if I take my system as this point mass and the Earth together, Earth implies the agent which is generating the gravitational field actually. In that case, the only external force in this case is normal reaction n, but it doesn't do any work because always is perpendicular to the displacement. Displacement is in a tangential direction, while n is along the perpendicular direction, so there is no work being done, and for that reason, the energy remains conserved. So, which implies that initially and finally the energy remains the same. We can also say, therefore, that whatever is a loss in the gravitational potential energy must be appearing as an increase in the kinetic energy, isn't it? Either you could write down the equation at 2 points and then equate them, or you can simply say in this case that whatever is the loss in potential energy, because the total is conserved, therefore, if the gravitational potential decreases, there has to be a corresponding increase in kinetic energy. So I could just, in this case, use the fact that when body go from here to here, the drop in height is this much actually. This is the height lost, which implies the energy lost is nothing but mg into this height, which is equal to the radius minus this length Radius is r minus this length, which is nothing but r cos theta actually. So we get this. This has to be appearing as the kinetic energy. So I must have this half mv square. And from here, we can just cancel out m, divide by r over there to get v square by r. From here, I get v square by r as twice g into 1 minus cos theta, which I can just put it back over here. If I just plug it back in this case, we end up getting the normal reaction as mg into, I've just jumped a couple of steps further. I'm just writing v square by r as 2g into 1 minus cos theta. There's an m already, so I get twice mg into 1 minus cos theta as mv square by r. So I can just write down cos theta minus, I pulled out mg, so what survives in this case is 2 minus plus 2 cos theta. That's what I have. This becomes the normal reaction, and that will turn out to be n into 3, mg into becomes mg into 3 cos theta minus 2. We can see in this case a normal reaction between the object and the hemisphere. It is varying in a manner which is mg into 3 cos theta minus 2. We can obviously plot a graph in this case as well. As theta increases, cos theta decreases. Someone trying to say something? Or no? No. As a result, we could at least we can see in this case that the quantity is broken when n becomes equal to 0, which implies we have got cos theta equal to 2 by 3 in fact. So when cos theta becomes 2 by 3, the quantity is broken. Okay, from here what I can see is therefore the contact is broken when cos theta becomes 2 by 3. This is the angle at which the contact is broken. We could evaluate this number. It's not obviously a standard angle. It turns out to be approximately how much? Let me see. Around 48 degree, I believe. 2 by 3. Yeah, it's around 48.2 degrees in fact. So at about 48.2 degrees, the contact will be broken. Slightly more than half, in fact. This will give us theta roughly as 48.2 degrees. So at around this angle, the contact is broken, which is slightly more than half of the, say half the angle. In fact, slightly more than 45 degrees actually. Okay. Obviously, we can modify situation a bit.
Sir?
Bolo?
So can you please send the screenshot?
Oh, it is not visible at all. So, how are you getting? Good video.
Yes, sir, I'm doing it.
Okay, fine. Yeah, nice one. It is not 48.21 degree. Okay, just 48.2 degree. Keep that in mind. Become easy just now. Okay, at least the picture is uploaded. You can actually see this this situation happens always. In fact, say as long as there is no friction, this is what's going to happen. Also in a complete tube, by the way. For example, if I consider because the picture is already there, so I'm rubbing it up. Okay, even if you're not able to. Say that we have a vertical tube, a tube which is oriented in a vertical plane. It's a tube, which implies like a pipe actually, hollow pipe. This looks like a circle, more or less. So the tube in this case is supposedly thin, or at least the thickness is small compared to the radius. You might therefore assume that the inner and outer radius are practically the same actually. Practically, not exactly, but they're practically the same. Fine. This is a vertical, I mean, say this tube is fixed in a vertical plane. Tube which is fixed in a vertical plane. Okay. And there's a marble, there's a small marble which is inside the tube. That marble is slightly smaller than the width of the tube. The marble in this case is only slightly smaller than the width of the tube. That is the marble we have. Or you can just think of like a bead, a pearl basically, which is slightly smaller, than the gap. This marble or this bead actually is only, yeah, it's a plane of, it's a fixed in a vertical plane actually. It's a vertical plane. It's going to be in a, like the previous hemisphere we had, that was also vertical circular motion. Fine. Okay. Yeah. So in this case, again, there's no friction in this situation. The smooth, no friction anywhere. Now the contact force between the inner portion of the tube and the marble, let's call it as N1, while the contact force between the outer tube and the marble, let's call it as N2. You notice that in this case, the marble is slightly smaller than the gap, or the bead is slightly smaller than, you know what is a marble by the what I'm talking about a marble?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
The small ball-like things.
Yeah, small glass like ball. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
हिंदी में उसको कंचे बोलते हैं ना, that's what we have. गुली, हाँ गुली या फिर गोली बोलते हैं. That's fine elaborate. Yeah, Sayana said in this case that the bead is only slightly smaller or lesser than the gap actually. So at any given point, it cannot touch both of them. Okay, it can touch only one. At any given point of time, it will be touching only one of them because the diameter is slightly less compared to the gap between the gap of the tube actually. Fine. So what we do in this case is disturb slightly from here and starts falling inside the tube. We have to figure out, we have to draw it. So we just need to plot the variation of the normal reaction. I'm just calling N1 as the normal reaction force. Normal reaction between the marble and the inner surface. I mean the lower surface actually, and the lower. I mean lower is not a inner. Let's do inner. Inner. Again, it is a smaller radius rather, and the smaller circle, which is actually the. I mean, so this part of the tube. This is a tube, in fact. So it will be like a cylindrical tube of, what do you say, a hose pipe which has been folded back onto itself actually. So that is what we have. This is smaller circle, and N2 is the normal reaction between the marble and the outer. And the bigger circle actually. Fine. So what I would like you to do is, I would like you to make a plot of the variation of this normal n1 and n2 as a function of the angle theta, theta varying between 0 to 2 pi, what will be in this case the variation of the normal reaction between the bead, between the pearl or marble and the inner and outer surfaces, actually the inside the smaller and the bigger circles. In fact, how will the graph be looking like? That's the question.
Yes, sir.
Ah,
Sir, all through its path, it will always be in contact with the surface of the smaller circle, or it will just bump between the two surfaces.
what do you think? What do you think?
Sir, what?
I said to figure out the normal reaction n1 and n2. n1 and n2 as a function of the angle theta. Theta is basically the angle which the radius joining the bead will form with the center. For example, this position, this is the angle theta. So increases this way, go all the way back, and then like that. Okay. So we have to just draw the graph, actually. Draw a graph of the normal reaction n1 and n2 as a function of theta. Multiple reflection won't be there. There won't be multiple reflections. It is related to the previous question you've just done, by the way. I would like you to plot a graph. Okay, at least you can just share with me your pictures, or at least just take a photo and send it to the group that I can see over there. So I have to send a photo. Okay. So how did you do the painting in this case?
No, sir, your face
Oh.
was coming like that. So, sir,
Okay, fine.
snapped it.
You could just told me. I'll just move aside. I didn't know that taking a snapshot.
I did not take a
What?
snapshot. There's a feature in the screen to take a
Is it?
loop out of
Acha,
screen.
is it there? You have explored Meet. Seems quite. I haven't.
Sir, not yet.
Oh, acha, some other.
Sir, from the laptop.
Acha, that sketch and snip, something like that.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay, that I don't think. There's a lasso tool, isn't it? To choose.
Yes, there's a
Ah,
lasso.
yeah, that's fine. I'm not very. I mean, say, Windows tools I haven't been using too much. Only recently I started to use Windows, so I don't know much of it, in fact. But what he's talking about, you see the snapshot he's posted in the group, and then you can see he's basically cut out a certain, I mean, say, an arbitrary portion of the picture.
Sir,
Ah,
plotting the graph, can you please repeat the question once more?
yeah, the graph, we have to plot the variation of N1 and N2. N1 is the contact or normal reaction between the bead and the inner circle, and N2 is the normal reaction between the bead and the bigger circle. So we have to just find out how this normal reaction varies with respect to time, with respect to angle theta. As it increases, how does it vary? You can just give me the plot in a very qualitative manner. Actually, I don't want any numerical things, but just in a very quality wise. Actually, Onik, he also did the same thing, snip and sketch. That is what it does as well. Onik is asking.
Sir?
Ah,
Sir, I am getting that N1 in terms of cos theta.
N1 will be similar to what I've got earlier.
Yes, sir.
It will be nothing but mg into
But then-
3 cos theta minus 2, but only till the contact is maintained.
Yes, sir. Sir, for the angle theta being lying between 0 to pi by 2 and 3 pi by 2 to 2 pi.
Hmm.
N1 is coming mg into 3 cos theta minus 2, and for the rest of the portion it will be 0.
but not between 90 degrees. We have just seen a moment earlier that when an object is moving or sliding along a hemispherical surface without any friction, it loses contact when cos theta becomes 2 by 3. Same situation in this case as well. It doesn't know that it's inside a tube. It has to just deal with the circular surface. That remains the same as a hemisphere, isn't it? So it will also lose contact when cos theta becomes 2 by 3.
2 by 3. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
There will be somewhere 2 by 3 will happen, they will become 0, and again because symmetry just then it will be 0, then it will no longer be in contact. Actually this
Sir,
it may
I'm
not
getting n.
because we are, but if we deal with point objects, it will be not happening. There will be actually a transition period when it is going from this when cos theta is 2 by 3 is going from the inner to the outer one. There will be a slight, very small time where it will not be in contact with anything actually. But we can neglect that one in comparison to time over which it moves, in fact. So we can just think of that portion as negligibly small. But yes, it will be there, but it's a very, very small time, depending on size, quite obviously. If I assume that this is almost like a point mass, then it will be negligibly small. If it's a bigger object, the gap is a bit larger, then it will be some time actually.
Sir, I am getting n is equal to mg into mg is common, and after that in the bracket it is cos theta minus 2r plus r cos theta. Sir,
What? That is dimensionally wrong.
which one?
You're talking about mg. Are you talking about the energy?
No, sir. Normal reaction means
Why
I
is R
have
coming up? Why is R coming up? Mg is already a force. So you can't have radius come into picture now because that will make dimensionally wrong,
okay.
isn't it?
Sir,
We
it's
just
coming
have
mg
the
into
power to remove
cos
R.
theta minus 2.
Again,
Sir, it's coming mg into 3 cos theta minus 2.
that will be n1.
Yes, sir,
Only,
n1.
yeah, only till theta is in between 0 to cos inverse 3 by 2, and again on the other side, symmetrical situation. On the other side, also the same angle, then will be there. In between those angles, it is going to be there. But for the rest of the part, it's going to be 0. You see, actually, same situation that we have with the previous hemisphere part, actually. The same normal reaction between this bead and the inner circle, as long as theta remains less than equal to cos inverse 2 by 3. Yes.
Sir, N2 I am getting mg into 2 cos theta minus 3.
Yeah, it will be, oh, no, it will be 2 minus 3 cos theta. It will be 2 minus 3 cos theta. It's
Yes,
the
sir.
negative of,
2 minus 3 cos theta.
yeah, that's what we have.
Negative of N1.
Yes, exactly. Just negative n1 in fact.
So
But
that
we
will
only
be
get
after
this
48.2 degrees.
after this point and then coming backward. Till that point it will be n2, non-zero, but n1 0. Somebody saying something? Who was saying something? Anyone? Nobody. Okay. Is the say situation clear? Anybody has sent me the graph so far? I don't think so. No.
Sir,
Huh?
so are you asking about with respect to theta or cos theta?
With respect to theta, I'm asking. Why should I ask with respect to cos theta? Theta, with respect to theta is what I want. Theta, you write with spelling with Ti, not double E. I thought theta would be double E. But fine. Rick, how it is straight line? It can't be a straight line. It's a cosine curve actually. It cannot be a straight line. It will be curved line basically. Slight mistake that we have. This will be coming up if you. Yeah, I can see your name written down, but I was thinking theta usually comes with double E. That is why.
So there are two rivers. So both spellings are applicable.
Both?
So there's a Tista river in Gangtok.
I know.
So that's Tista, and there's another river. That's
No. The river is T double E.
So there are two T-stars.
Acha, there are two trees. Yes, I now remember. Yes, I was talking about the bigger one, the one which has green water actually. Have you ever seen?
So I think I've seen. So that was very small.
Okay. I did click some picture. Went to North Bengal something back. There was a bridge which over the river. So from there I took a picture and water. Yeah, the water is very green actually. It I don't know. Maybe because of algae, but it's a flowing river, so algae can't be there over there. Whatever it's
Sir, it is the Coronation Bridge.
what is there?
Coronation Bridge.
Exactly
Sir,
same one. Yeah, Coronation Bridge.
I
Yeah,
stay in,
Where? What?
sir,
What is?
I stay in Siliguri. It is near to there. Not much.
Yes,
far, sir.
actually, I was also going to Siliguri for the stay over there, passing through that. Then it is close by, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The Coronation Bridge is what, yeah. From there, I just took the pictures actually. The river is quite wide at that point, after the bridge, in fact. The bridge is relatively narrow. There's one more Tista River, I think, which is TIE, isn't it? It is, I have heard it, but I don't know where it is, in fact. Obviously, it's in West Bengal somewhere.
Sir,
Bolo.
sir, are N1 and N2 just the opposite of each other? I'm getting N1 as mg
Yes,
into
yes,
3
yes.
cos theta minus 2. So actually, in the last one which I did, I forgot to divide it by r. Means that's why
I got it. Yes, I got it. In terms of energy, you're doing mv square by r, then you miss the r actually.
Yes, sir.
Yes, in this case, n1 and n2 will be just the opposite of each other, in fact. Fine. I mean, say, it so happens because once cos theta becomes more than 2 by 3, then 3 cos theta minus 2 becomes negative, but 2 minus 3 cos theta becomes positive actually. Eric, you got your mistakes. I said this will be correct graph if you plot it in terms of cos theta, in fact. Then it will be linear. But in this case, it is not correct because we are plotting with respect to theta. That is why it was a mistake. Okay. Anyway, the graph is not very difficult to draw.
Sir,
Bolo.
so I am getting into the basket, sir. Sir, I am sending you. Wait, sir.
Okay, fine. Send it. I'll see. Anybody else? Pratyush is here. Have you got it? No. Pratyush is not here. Okay, fine. Ranjana, what about you? Have you got it? The expression I don't need. I just require the qualitative graph. Okay, fine. Let us see. Shekhar, what about you? And Sayan? No man is left. Ryan, Rahul. Rahul, what about you? Not got yet. I'll have to plot a graph of cos theta. No. You mark the axis as the angle theta, in fact. Okay, fine, Rahul. Ryan, bolo.
And what have to do?
Couldn't understand? Draw a
Sir, I
graph.
sent in the group.
You have to draw a graph, Ryan. Graph of the normal reaction N1 in terms of theta. The formula that we have got for N1 is mg into 3 cos theta minus 2. Valid. It will not somewhat, it will be a sine curve by the way, just a bit modified. The graph is obviously that of cosine, in fact. For N1, it will be 0 for the angle more than cos inverse 2 by 3. When the angle is becoming more than cos inverse 2 by 3, N1 becomes 0. N1 is the quantity of the inner one because then the field will go to the outer one actually. Oh no. Orkadev, you have sent me?
Yes, sir. Actually, I forgot to mark it up to the 0 mark. That's why I think it is.
Uh, this is a bit wrong, in fact. I mean, which n you
Sir,
have plotted? You have just put up n, but which n? N2 or n1?
So the n means in the n1 it is going down. The cosine graph is just decreasing like that. Means from 0 to 90 degree as it goes down in the cosine graph. Sir, I have plotted it like that. And in the other one, sir, the first part is for n1 and after the line, that is that after the dotted line, it is for n2.
Well, it is not exactly correct. ठीक है, I'll just plot. At least that is okay. Nilabata.
sir,
It is fine except for the shape. You have almost. It's okay. I mean, say the second one is just a bit bad shape. Otherwise, it's fine.
sir, I am bit weak in drawing.
It's not drawing. It's just plotting a graph, isn't it? Just wait.
So I have sent you in that Kaimonth account.
I know. I have seen that. Okay. I mean, at least the variation is okay. The behavior is okay. The shape is all out of shape actually, but otherwise fine. Okay, no problem. We just take it up. Or somebody else sent it. No. Actually, the graph we've already obtained. I was just saying, if we just look back and look at the previous question, we have already seen what is a normalization coming out to be. In fact, this N1, which is between the bead and the inner part of the tube, the lesser radius actually, we already figured that out.
Sir,
Bolo.
sir, the graph will be of a bigger amplitude than that of the cos graph and a less frequency than of the.
For N2 it will be
Yes.
happening.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. This one is N1 actually, and it turns out that N2 is simply the negative of this. In fact, N2 will be nothing but negative of that. That comes out because if you look at the, I mean, say once it goes over here, for instance, theta will be this angle. You could see that the normal reaction N2 is in fact inwards, pointing inwards. In fact, there is the only difference we have compared to this one and the previous situation. So to just replace this formula with a minus sign, that will automatically becoming N2. Everything else remain the same. All the analysis that we have done they'll be same because we can still apply the formula that N2 plus mg cos theta or sin theta cos theta it was. That will together provide the centripetal acceleration mv square by r. V square we still found out in the same way by using the energy conservation actually, because energy is not lost anywhere in fact. That is why we will get the same result back except for a sign in fact. I mean, subsequently after this point, N1 is not there, but N2 is going to come into picture, and that will be nothing but the negative of this. N2 is simply minus this thing, which implying we get 2 minus 3 cos theta. This becomes N2. Both of them have some ranges actually. They are not always applicable. At least one thing is quite guaranteed in this case. This is a symmetrical situation. So whatever happens from 0 to pi, exactly same situation happens to the other side as well, isn't it? So I just need to draw from 0 to pi and then reflect it about that pi line actually. Say x equal to pi line. And then we end up getting the other part of the graph over there. Fine.
Sir, sir, I have sent it again. Sir, can you please check it?
Okay, just wait. Atul. Atul, there is a slight problem with this. N1 to begin with is 0 in fact. You notice that at the beginning, when theta is 0, N1 is mg in fact. Yeah, that's correct in fact, sorry. So N1 will be dropping down from mg to 0. Okay, but then N2 is a bit problematic in fact. N2 will be not opening this way, it will be opening the other way around. No, Atul has also sent it actually. Avradeep is also sending. I am seeing, looking at that, but the message was earlier over there. Onik, what about you? Have you sent it? Oh, both of them wrote same graph, interestingly. The slight problem with N2 part, Avradeep. N1 part is correct, but N2 part is not correct. The curvature is wrong, in fact. I'll explain why it is coming that way.
Okay, sir.
In effect, have you sent it, Cyan? Where? I could not see. At least in this. Is it in the group or you have sent some other number? To me, well, you have to send a different number actually. Can you just send a group, because I cannot see the other number where you have sent right now. Okay. Or maybe I can see. Just wait. The desktop, possibly I can see that. Okay. In this case, N1 is wrong. I mean, say you have drawn N1 incorrectly, N2 is fine, but you have drawn N1 incorrectly. Okay. Actually, curvature for N1 will be the other way around. So cosine curve, that's what he said. Cosine doesn't open the way you have drawn, in fact. You have shown cosine opening upwards between 0 and pi by 2, but it's not correct. It opens downward between 0 and pi by 2. The same thing happens for sine as well. The curvature is wrong. Apart from that, it is, the shape is more or less okay. The middle one, N2 is okay. N1 is not okay. Okay. Anyway, let me just you see, the graph is essentially for, I was saying that this actually have a range. They are not applicable in the entire 0 to 360 degrees, but this is valid only when theta lies in between 0 to 48.2 degree approximately, and once again when it just comes to the other side. So this part will be something like 2 pi minus that angle till 2 pi, then it's going to be valid actually. So the range for this applicability. This is applicable for theta in between. You can just say from 0 to cos inverse of is visible. Theta belonging to 0 to cos inverse of 2 by 3, which is approximately 48 degrees. And then once again from the union I have written down in this case, from this angle, which is 2 pi minus cos inverse 2 by 3 till 2 pi. It is in that range, is valid in fact. How to use open bracket, because I already use 0 in the close bracket actually. Okay, this part, if it is visible, I hope it is visible. For this interval, we have N1 valid. For everything else, it becomes 0. It is 0 otherwise. Otherwise, it is 0. While for N2, N2 becomes non-zero given by this formula for the remaining portion. While for that part that we have N1 coming up, this is going to be 0. So N2 is 0. I mean, this will be valid for the region where N1 is 0. Okay. Once you have got this idea, I'm say we can just look at the graph very easily. We just need to see how things vary. For example, if I consider a graph of cos theta, let's say between 0 and pi, we know that it's going to be symmetrical above that line. If I look at the graph for cos theta, actually, cos theta varies in what fashion? It just goes from 1 to 0 at angle pi by 2, then again goes down till minus 1 at pi. I'm just drawing till minus 1 till pi because I know that it will be symmetrical after this, so I'll just reflect it. Okay, this is how the graph of cosine look like in that portion as a function of theta. Now what I need to do, I need to first of all look at N1, multiply with 3. To multiply with 3, what happens? The shape will not change. It's just a multiplication with 3. It will not change the shape. Each of the height, each of the ordinate gets multiplied with 3, becomes triple. But obviously 0 remains 0, but 1 becomes 3 actually. It will just kind of scale in a vertical direction. So if I multiply with 3 cos theta, I'm just going to scale it up. The scaled version becomes like this, for example. Scaling is what happens when I multiply with 3. This is got scaled up over there. Then you have to just subtract 2. When subtract 2, it simply shifts down by 2 units. 3 minus 2 becomes 1, for example. So this entire graph is going to be shifted downwards. Fine. As it does so, this part will be actually going like this. It just goes like this fashion and then goes down below. But that is how it behaves. It just shifts the entirely. I just going to shift the entire graph down by this much. Okay. Quite obviously, we're interested only in that part where it is cutting the axis, which is becoming cos inverse of 3 by 2. Sorry, 2 by 3 rather. Sorry. So in this case, this part is the one which I retain. Every other part I just remove. Fine. So the shape-wise will be almost looking like a part of a cosine, but shifted down. I mean, say slightly squeezed actually. Okay. But the curvature is opening downwards. Now, if I look at the other one, the negative this part over there, this will be simply a multiplication of the first graph with a minus sign. So if I just consider this part, I first draw the graph of cos theta, then I multiply with minus 3. With minus 3, what happens? The entire thing flips down because all the orders becomes negative. So it will happen to be something like this. That is a product with minus 3 in fact. That's how it behaves with a minus 3 sign. And then I am able to add 2 to it. Adding 2 will just shift it up actually. What will happen is earlier it was touching the axis at minus 3. Now it is going to touch the axis at minus 1. So you start basically, we have to shift it parallelly upward. So it just goes in this fashion. It goes like this. You see the height becomes quite high over there and is intersecting exactly the same point where the previous graph was actually coming up. It has become very complicated to see, but the ideas are as simple as I said already. You just draw the graph of cosine and manipulate it. Multiply with 3, subtract 2, that becomes the blue one over there. Then this part multiply with minus 3 and shift 2, that becomes the red part over here. Fine. It only takes some portions on the relevant angle, not the entire graph. Fine. For the
Sir,
yes.
please send the snapshot. It is coming very hazy. The screen.
Oh. Okay, fine. So are you up to it or should I do that? Let me just take a snap.
What doing?
Okay, fine. Is it coming clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is not something else. Okay, this is fine, but you'll have to. Okay, at least the shape is okay. Only thing, the problem is the relative heights actually. Okay. Okay, now Sohar has sent a picture. Is it clear enough? Let us see. Yeah, models. Ananya, can you see now?
Yes, sir. Got it.
Okay. The procedure which I used was rather simple. I just draw the graph of cos theta, scale it and shift it down for the first part. So second, obviously I have to scale it by mg as well, but it's just a change in the axis. For the second one, I do the same thing, multiply, draw the graph of cos theta, multiply with minus 3 and add 2. So shifts up actually. Fine. Ultimately, therefore, you can draw two graphs. For N1, I only retain the blue part, this little part over there. For N2, I retain the red part, which is a bigger one actually. Fine. So the final graph that we have will be looking the following way. Interested in 0 to 2 pi, pi, 2 pi, 2 by 2, 600. The This is for N1 actually. The blue part is for N1, and the red part is for the black for the N2. This just goes up. The relative height is, you can see interestingly that the normal reaction, in fact, when theta is pi, implies the lowermost position on the ball is over here, the bead is over there. The normal reaction actually turns out to be 5 mg, in fact. Okay, you can see in this case that I put theta as pi, so cos theta becomes -1, so I get 2 minus -3 makes it +3. So I get the normal reaction to be 5 times mg, in fact. Okay, the graph is there for a big one. This is mg, but this height turns out to be, that's what the graph looks like. We have in this case the red one is N2, the blue one is N1. This part is mg, and the peak of the N2 is 5 times mg, interestingly. So these are the reaction forces we have. The angle is pi. This angle is cos inverse of 2 by 3. This one is 2 pi minus cos inverse 2 by 3. Here the height is 5 times mg actually. Okay, that is the behavior. The important thing that we keep in mind is that any given point of time, it is only in contact with either the upper one or the lower one. Pradeep, you have now actually done it the reverse way. N1 will be lesser in height, N2 will be more.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, sir, I took the theta again from that 90-degree, and that's why it
Oh.
came a bit this.
No problem, please. Okay.
So can you means how you obtain?
Can you repeat? I couldn't get you. Somebody was saying something? No? You can type as well if you wish. Anyway, no problem. It's fine. There's one other thing that we should like to discuss about the vertical circular motion actually. If I am wrapping it up, already gave the post some say a snapshot. How I derive? Oh, Orkodev can take as an exercise, do the same thing that we have done for N1. Okay, start by assuming that, you see that when it just goes to the other part of the tube, obviously the energy is not being lost. Fine. So the energy equations remain the same, which implies the speed that we have obtained. V square equal to what we had, something like 2 into, what was that, GR into some expression I've got earlier for the speed, 1 minus cos theta. Yeah, 2GR into 1 minus cos theta.
2 into 1
The
minus
same
cos theta.
expression will be still coming up now as well because the energy still remains conserved, the same thing. That equation remains the same. The thing what will change is the centripetal acceleration. Now actually N2 is in fact pointing toward the center. Last time it was pointing outwards, but now it's pointing towards the center. So what you do is write down N2 plus mg cos theta, that is equal to mv square by r. Okay? From there you can just solve for N2 actually. It's fine. It's fine or not fine? Okay. Next one we consider is the motion of a point mass tied to a thread and has been supplied some velocity at the bottommost point. We'd like to look at the motion as it goes in a vertical circle. So this one is the point where the thread has been tied to the ceiling, or it just take up point. Assume that it's free to move in a vertical circle. In fact, the lowermost point, this point mass is m, and we supplied some speed horizontally. This is a thread right now, inextensible. Inextensible. It can't stretch. And this is being provided initial speed, V0 for example. The question is with what should be the speed with which it must be projected so it's able to complete a full circle. And how the situation changes if I replace the thread with a massless but rigid rod. In this case, right now we have thread in this
It's a
case.
6G.
What?
The 6GL.
What? 6 GL. How do you get that?
Sir, square root of 5 GR or square root of 5 GL.
How do you get
more
that?
than square root of 5GL. I did the integer.
So first of all, we need to consider any arbitrary point in the circle, and then we need to means write the the forces, the net forces which are acting on it. Then we need to apply the energy conservation. Then we will get it.
You have done everything, but how does, I mean, once we write an equation for the forces, ultimately, what is limiting the speed in this case? What is the, say, reason that the speed has to be more than something? Yes, Ani, that is right. For a rod, it is root over 4 GL. For a thread, it becomes root 5 GL. Why is the difference? I'm asking. Yes, fine.
Due to the thread.
Sir, due to the tensional force.
Due to tensional thread. And what happens in the other case when you have rigid rod?
Sir, normal reaction force.
It's not only normal reaction.
Normal reaction. Who is providing the reaction?
Between the surface of the end of the rod and that body.
But then the particle, how can just move in a circle because it requires centripetal acceleration, isn't it?
So then weight of the body.
What? Weight of the body. It acts downwards, or at least it has a component downwards. And if you just look at the normal reaction between the bead and this one, there's also downwards. Actually, the rod will pull. We are just tying it in this case to the end of the rod. So the rod is also going to pull. In fact, rod will also exert a tension force, but it's not the thread tension. This is because the rigidity of the rod actually. The point in this case is that why the difference is coming. Okay, first of all, minimum velocity V0 for which point mass minimum velocity V0 for which the point mass undergoes a vertical circle. I mean, it's just able to complete a full circle actually. Anika is saying I couldn't get it. Just wait a moment. Undergoes. At least completes a vertical circle. That's what you want. And how the situation changes if you have a rod. So what if Abhirup, the question says in this case, what is the least speed with which the point mass must be projected so that it just completes a full cycle, okay?
So besides thread, what is written?
Besides, oh, that is inextensible is what I wrote down. Inextensible, it cannot stretch actually. It is not stretchable, okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Rahul, that explanation is correct actually. The point is that the rod cannot become slack. Unlike a thread can get slack in fact. If I want this point mass to actually undergo the full circle, we need to make sure that thread tension does not go to zero ever. You said in a complex language, you should try to learn some simple language on it, isn't it? You just tell me the procedure, this is to be done, this is to be done. Fine. The simple reason is the fact that
Under 5.
yes, for a thread it's going to be root over 5 GL. Yeah, and then for the rod, it is going to be root over 4 GL in fact. Okay. The reason, as I was saying, is the fact that the thread can get slack, but the rod cannot. Rod is a rigid one actually. So for a rod, if I just, this was a rod, not a thread, I just need to make sure that the rod just rotates full and just able to reach the top actually. Because when just go at the top and just reaches a vertical position, it will automatically just fall in the other direction. So I have to just ensure that the speed does not become zero at the topmost point. It just as it rises up, the speed definitely slows down. I need to make sure that it does not become zero till it reaches the topmost position. So limiting situation, the speed will become zero right at the topmost point. Fine. Okay, fine, Onik, no problem. It does happen, but should try to make language simpler. Hopefully, I do not speak complex language as well. Anyway, so we just need to make sure in this case that the speed of the point mass becomes zero only when it reaches the topmost point. When it is a rod, actually. For a rod, I just need the velocity to be just zero at the topmost point. The guarantee that's going to undergo a circular motion completely. But for a thread, the situation will be different. For a thread, I need to make sure that the tension vanishes before it reaches the topmost point. Because if the thread tension becomes zero before that, then the particle won't be able to complete the circle, because there won't be any other forces to require supply. I mean, say apart from mg definitely, but it will not be able to complete the full circle. The thread gets slack, it'll become basically free fall. Then, if the tension becomes zero at some intermediate point, then the point mass actually undergo a free fall actually. So it is no longer moving in a circle, but rather in a parabolic path actually. If the speed is too less, it just goes till this point, for example, and then it just goes in a parabolic path. That's what the motion will be if the speed is not too much actually. So I need to make sure, in order to for the object to undergo a complete circle, I need to make sure that the tension should not reduce to zero before it reaches the topmost point. In the limiting situation, yes, and you can do that for a rod. And I said already, for the rod, you can just equate the speed to zero at the highest point, and therefore apply the energy conservation. The increment in the gravitational potential energy, which is nothing but 2 mgl, must be, coming at the expense of loss in kinetic energy, which is half mv naught square itself, because finally it's becoming zero. So for the rod, it's rather simple. I get the loss in kinetic energy half mv naught square equal to the increment in the gravitational potential energy, which is nothing but twice mgl actually. Fine. So equate them and you end up getting V naught as root over 4 GL. That is for situation when we have a rod actually. But for a thread, I said that we have to do a bit different thing. For a thread, I need to make sure that before it reaches the topmost point, the thread tension cannot be zero actually. So I need to make sure the thread tension remains non-zero as it moves in this circular path. In the limiting case, the thread tension becomes zero just at the highest point. Okay, just the highest point, the thread tension vanishes. So the highest point.
When it velocity root VGL, no?
What?
Root GL at the top point.
Yes, then the speed will be at topmost point non-zero. In fact, it's going to be root GL. Yes. When for a thread, if I look at the limiting situation.
For that, sir, at the bottom point, the velocity must be root 5 GL.
Yes, yes. I'll talk about topmost point.
Sir.
When I did,
Sir, when we are considering the rod and completing the circle, will it be the same for that case when we place a bead and apply a velocity and it will complete a whole circular pipe just like the previous one?
Bead on a wire.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, that is the same situation. Because in this case, that normalization has to be zero just at topmost point actually. Same situation. Just energy conservation is valid. Because in this case, you have constraint. Some other agent providing the required force to complete the circle. So there's no, in this case, any fear of the thing getting slack actually. But for a thread, or if I have, for example, a spherical or a circular track and there's a small ice cube which is projected, for example, in the bottommost point, almost frictionless, that is the meaning actually. Even then, to make sure that it doesn't lose this contact actually. So even then, we have the answer will be root over 5 GR, where R is the radius of circle. in case we are projecting something on the inner surface of a spherical or circular track, then the minimum speed required will be root over 5g into the radius. While if it's a bead on a wire where we have a rigid support actually, then it will be nothing but root 4gr. Fine. Just look at the situation when something normal reaction is there, which can be 0, or tension it can be 0, then the answer root 5gr actually, or root 5gl. Then the rod may move clockwise as well as anti-clockwise. Well, that is actually happening sign that it is not, I mean, say this is least value, it already has slight amount of momentum to overshoot actually. That's the point. Obviously, if it is a bit less than that, it will just reach over there and come back. But if it just only epsilon amount more, a very slight amount more, it will just overshoot and go over there. Okay. So boundary condition is nothing but root 4gr. So I was saying that for a thread in this case, if I just look at a thread, this part is radius. Assuming that this is tied to a thread over there, if I consider at the topmost point, in the boundary condition limiting case, I require this tension to be 0 at topmost point actually. The thread tension is 0 right at the top. The limiting situation I'm talking about. Okay, when the speed is minimum, in fact, if I just talk about the minimum speed in this case, V0 minimum, in that case, the thread tension becomes 0 right at the top. Yes, Testa, you can send it, I'll check it out. Okay. Right now, you can do that if you wish. So what happens then is that mg, the gravitational force, will provide the required centripetal acceleration only. The tension is 0, so must have mg providing the required centripetal acceleration. And therefore, the speed cannot be 0 in this case. The speed v, I can obtain that by using the fact that mg is equal to mv square upon the radius, giving us v equal to root over of gl. This must be there for the speed at topmost point. Oh, you sent me. Oh, is the which number, by the way? Is the other phone? It has not yet reached me. I don't know this number, by the way. Can somebody? Well, just wait. Wait. I'll look at the other phone. Okay. Energy conservation is fine. Yeah, the equation was a bit wrong with, but it will be valid at the topmost point actually, Tista. I mean, topmost point of tension will turn out to be 0. So if you just put theta equal to pi, it will be valid then. Okay. It's okay, you can do that. Not an issue. Just, I mean, for the arbitrary angle theta, you'll have to show a tension as well, but for the topmost point, tension will be 0. That is fine. Okay, I'm going to say, you see, this is the other number I am just going to give. I think, because this is always with me, but the other number is right now not always with me over there. I can see my number myself, isn't it? Yes, I can see that. Count. How do I check my own number? Like, okay, this is yes. Difficult to find. Remember own number, isn't it? Nowadays. Anyway, I'm gonna say the other number you can just copy. This one is with me usually, always. You can WhatsApp over here. I think that is correct. Yeah. Yeah, I have both the numbers in the group actually. But for people who are not familiar, Okay, so the idea should be clear now. The point in this case is that we are going to get by using the energy conservation, because the speed as the topmost point is root over GL, which gives us therefore that the lowermost point, if I call the speed as V naught or minimum, basically we have the energy conservation can be applied now.
Sir, I have sent it.
Okay, you just send over this particular thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me finish the first. That is the loss in the kinetic energy. This must appear as the increment in the gravitation potential. Half mv square just makes it in this case what we can just write on v naught square equal to v square plus 4 gl. V square is gl, that gives us 5 gl, and so the minimum speed for a vertical circle supported by a thread, in fact, is going to go to 5 gl, isn't it? Obviously, if we just project it with a speed more than root 5 gl, it will obviously go in a circle. In fact, at that point, the thread will never get slack. I'm saying if the speed is more than this particular one, in that case, it will simply go to the top, and topmost point, the speed will be more than root gl, and the tension won't be zero actually, isn't it? That's what's going to happen over here. Anyway, that's the idea. So far, it should be clear enough.
So there is a wellness session in our school today from 9:30. May I leave?
Yeah, sure enough. Wellness session.
Yes, sir. We
Yes,
have
sir.
tomorrow.
Okay, fine. Hemshila.
Yes, Sheila.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We had also it previously.
Okay, fine.
Yesterday.
Sir,
So,
sir, A, B, and we are C.
अच्छा, ठीक है, fine. You can leave now.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Okay, bye, thank you.
Sir, can I leave too?
Yes. Anyone who has to go to the wellness session.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, fine, bye.
Sir, tomorrow we'll sit and stare at our faces.
Why? That is the task given?
Sir, nobody will do anything. I
Nobody?
don't think so.
Just means talking with friends and singing or reciting poem, whatever means.
That's a good idea actually.
So, but that cannot be forced now.
Definitely can't be forced. Who is forcing you, by the way? You have been given a choice.
No, compulsory.
Compulsory.
Yes.
Okay. What are they doing?
So
Ani?
that too in front of headmistress.
Acha. Then it will be a bit of problematic. And the time has to be found. This is also, the situation that's prevailing. You may not be affected, but these junior people, they will be affected actually. So it might not be very useful for you, but at least for the other people, it is going to be useful. Speed is more than root 5 gr. What will be the problem, Ankit? It will be just moving in a circle, and the tension will not be zero at the topmost point. That is what is going to happen. This is a minimum speed actually. So with this speed, it will be just be able to complete the circle. So the topmost point is the tension will just be equal to zero. Okay, but if we just project with greater speed, which is what I said a bit earlier, with a speed which is more than root 5 gr, which is 5 gl, it will actually move in a circle, and the tension at this point will not be zero as well. Okay. But if you just throw it with speed which is less than root 5 gr, then it will not be able to go in the circle. In fact, what do you think? If I consider projecting with a speed which is, say, not root 5 gl, but suppose root 4 gl, fine. In the case of thread, actually, say that we have projected the point mass.
Sir, please send the snapshot. The
Oh.
screen was very hazy.
First the bob will go in a circular motion, and then at the point where it will stop,
Yes,
after that it will descend down in a parabolic way.
We have to figure out the maximum height attained from the lowermost point actually in terms of that. Who asked for the snapshot, by the way? Actually,
So me, Orkodev.
Okay, it was not very clear.
No, sir, your screen was completely blank. Means only your voice was audible.
Oh, great. Okay, what to do then? You just I'll just check that. Say send the video later on. Okay, you can check that part out. This part out, you can just check it out later. Okay. Maybe I can just take a snapshot from the video and post it. What I said, however,
Sir, if somebody copied, then they can send a snapshot
I
in
don't
the
think
group.
somebody has taken this time. I would possibly a bit fast. But let me speak what I said. What I was saying is when we project it with a speed of root 5 GL at the bottommost position, it will be just able to complete the full circle. Okay. For the moment, that will be enough. After the class, I will just go through video, take a snapshot and post it. Fine. Additionally to the video itself.
So
Okay.
initially speed was given.
Initial speed right now I'm giving as root 4 GL. Now I'm saying in this case that we have projected the object from the lowermost position, the speed being root over of 4 GL. We need to figure out in this case the maximum height above the projection point. The maximum height above the projection point, or above the lowest point actually, which the object will be able to attain. Which the object will be able to attain. Okay. The question is that there is a thread of length L fixed to this rigidly attached to a fixed point, which you can call as O, and then the stone or the point mass are at bottom, which is projected with a speed v, that is root 4 GL, not enough to complete a circle actually. We need to figure out the maximum height above the lowest point which the object is going to attain. Okay.
Sine theta is coming to be 2/3.
Well, that will fine. I want maximum height. Picture, yes. Actually, Sohar left, so that is. Oh, somebody has done it. Just a moment. This time, take a picture, post it.
So has it been done?
Yes, I did that. Oh, Sohar, you haven't left yet?
So I should have.
Oh, you are not in Hemshila?
Sir, I have tomorrow.
Oh, you have tomorrow. Okay, fine, fine. I thought you were also leaving. Yeah, I've done. I just posted the picture now.
Sir, I'm thinking of posting a dummy tomorrow.
Oh, watch. Dummy. Why?
So just for the fun of it.
That maybe. And how do you procure a dummy, by the way?
It is 5L/3.
How much?
5L/3.
5L/3? No, it is not. More than that. I'm going to be less than 2L quite obviously, but it'll be a bit more. Nilamita, can you just send me what you have done? So I might. Not got yet. The procedure is what Arkadev said, I believe. It will be just leaving the circular path somewhere in between, and it will just follow a parabolic trajectory. So you have to figure out the maximum height for the parabolic trajectory. To that, you add up the height at which the thread was flat. Actually, that will give us the required result. Nobody's got so far. It's difficult to wait, it seems. You want to take as a homework by or what? We'll take some time. Oh, people are.
Sir, 58 by 27.
How much? Actually, I didn't see the chat
58.
box by the way. Just wait. I was not looking at this. Greater than Priyanjana, 3L by 4. Priyanjana, can you send working? I think Nilabrata also said something 3L by 5. I would like to see. It would definitely greater than L. 50L by 27. That's already more than 2L by the way. Ankit, how can that happen? You have to be less than 2L. It can't go beyond this point, can it? Cannot go beyond that point. At this moment, tension. Tista, which moment you're talking about? At which point the it leaves the circular path? Yes, that is going to be correct. In fact, it will leave circular path the moment the tension becomes 0. In fact, you did wrong. How do you know that? Did you did wrong, Priyanjana? Because the answer is wrong. That is why. You realize it, okay? At least, okay, that's fine, no problem. You just finish it up. It leads the circular path at 5L by 3. It is quite sure it cannot leave the circular path before 90 degrees, by the way. That's much quite obvious because
The velocity is greater than root 2g.
Greater than?
Root 2gr?
Yeah. I mean, this particular angle, you can see that till this point, the tension is pointing this way and MG has a component that way. Obviously, if the tension becomes, it cannot be 0 in this case because this has some velocity. And if the velocity, even if the velocity does become 0 actually, you see that tension can't be 0 because MG has a component outward in fact. So tension has to be there to overcome this, even if it is moving some part of the circle. So at least this region of tension can't be 0 ever. Fine. You'll have
Sir,
to
it
be
will
doing
leave the circular path.
it leaves
Sir,
circular
it will
path
leave
somewhere
the
on this
circle.
side.
Sir, at an angle of cos inverse minus 2 by 3.
Fine. Minus the sine theta turning out to be 2 by 3, I believe. I mean, theta is measured from here. I'm measuring now theta from there.
Yes, I have got that only. Sine theta is 2 by 3.
Okay, that's fine. I know that it's going to be beyond 90 degree, so I'll just take it from the horizontal position. At some angle theta, it loses contact. So it loses the circular path actually. So it loses circular path because the tension turns out to be 0. It just gets slack actually. Till that point, mg has a component and the tension, both were present in fact. Right at that moment, the tension is going to be 0. So at this very moment, when it has just vanished, the tension in this case, I could utilize the fact that if the speed is v at this point, let's call it v naught, the beginning. This point the speed is v, then I could write down that at this very moment, the equation which is going to be valid is a point at the component of mg, which is this direction, becomes mg sine theta, in fact, because this is mg, so that's 90 degree, that is theta, this is 90 minus theta. So mg cos 90 minus theta is going to be giving us mg sine theta. So I need to have mg sine theta that should be equal to.
Sir, is the answer r into 3 plus root 5 by 3?
I do not think that is the required result. Let me check. Okay, I don't know. I don't think that is going to be coming up. Still, I'll just verify it in a moment. Okay, this is the equation we can write down just at the moment the thread tension becomes 0. Actually, right at this point, wherever the thread tension vanishes. Fine. Which gives us the required speed v square as gl into sine theta. And then we can utilize the fact that the energy conservation valid 3L by 2 this way. I mean, 3L by 2 implies a maximum height theta, or 3L by 4. 3L by 2 is 1.5L. This is the point where the contact is broken, or I mean, the circle is leaving a circular path, or the maximum height. At least in this case, sine theta should be obtainable because the speed is known in the beginning. Maximum height, let me see. I think a bit too less, but still, let me check. Now, by using the energy conservation, because the thread tension does not do any work in this case, as the particle goes from here to here, thread tension doesn't do any work. Therefore, the energy remains conserved, which implies the increment in the gravitation potential energy should come at the expense of the kinetic energy. Therefore, I could write down in this case half into mv naught square minus half mv square. That is a loss in the kinetic energy. This will come at the expense of the, I mean, this will basically cause the potential to increase. Increment is nothing but mgl. This height is what we need for the
mgl into 1 plus cos theta.
Sine theta.
Sine theta, yes.
Yeah, it will become mg into L into 1 plus sine theta. And from there, I can just put mv naught square as 4gl. This becomes therefore how much? Twice. Okay, and first multiply with 2 throughout. Now I can just plug v naught square as 4gl, while v square is gl sine theta. This becomes twice gl into 1 plus sine theta, and gl can be cancelled throughout, and sine theta goes that way. Okay, so that gives us in this case visible, I hope. Yeah, 4gl minus, I mean 4 minus 2, which gives 2, and we have theta that way plus 3 theta, 3 sine theta. So I get sine theta as 2 by 3. In fact, sine theta is 2 by 3. This is the angle, therefore. No, half is not going to appear. Theta, you already see that in this case. Yeah, I'm going to say, you made a mistake, check it again, okay? Sine theta is turning out to be 2 by 3, in fact. Yeah, you can just check it out or send it to me. I can check it. What mistakes you have done. Anyway, we've got sine theta as 2 by 3. Now we notice that this is going to, which also means that the speed is root over of 2 by 3 GL actually. This implies the speed which we are getting over here, at which point the thread becomes flat actually, is going to be root over of 2 by 3 GL. This we have. And this point the thread gets slack, so it is now going to just go in a projectile path over there. Let me say it's just a free fall now. We just need to find the maximum height for the projectile part, isn't it? So subsequently, what I can do? Okay, a snapshot, I believe, is required just for safety. And let's send it somebody else. Okay, has been done. So that's fine. I was just going to do that. Never did that. So finally, it's just going to be a projectile after this, and we could find the maximum height. By the way, this height can be also looked at now. This part is already L, and this one is L sine theta. Makes it 2/3 of L. That makes how much? L plus 2/3 of L becomes 5L by this. So I think Ankit was doing it correctly. It seems at least so far. 5L by 3. So far it is just this height, L plus 2/3 of L. And from there onwards, the maximum height which the projectile is going to attain from this particular point, we can apply the formula for the maximum height, which is what? B square sine square theta by 2g, isn't it? But you need to measure the angle theta from here. In this case, theta given is this angle, which implies this angle, which implies from the vertical. So instead of sine theta, I must use cos theta actually. This angle, if I call this as phi, for instance, which is nothing but 90 minus theta. The maximum height formula from here, the extra height attained, extra height is going to be b square into sine square phi, that is the projection angle in this case over there, divided by 2g, which will give us in this case, b square is known. I could write this one as b square into cos square theta by twice g. B square is 2 by 3 gl. Cos square theta becomes 1 minus sine square theta, which is 1 minus 4 by 9, which implies 5 by 9. There's cos square theta. 1 minus sine square 4 by 5 divided by 2g. So what you get, 2g gets cancelled out. We get in this case 5L by 27 that we have. This is the extra height which has been attained actually. So the maximum height attained, max height therefore.
Sir, I told you that the answer will be 50L by 27.
You told how much?
50L by 27, sir.
Did I say it was wrong?
Yes, sir, you told it was wrong.
I think well, okay, in that case, correct, by the way. I didn't see 27 the denominator. I think it was something else. Okay, now Ankit wrote down 50L by 27. Oh, Ankit, you are right, in fact. I miscalculated. I just thought it was more than 2, but it's not, in fact. So you are right, in fact. Yes. I remember now. Okay, so your answer is correct. If Nilavrata and Ankit both said the same answer, that is fine then. I miscalculated, okay? You are right, Nilavrata. 5 by 27 plus just one moment. Hello? Hello? Name the classroom. Okay, so that will be the final result. I can make the LCM 9. Okay, 9 5 is 45 plus 50. That's right. So I get 50 by 27 as the required answer. That's fine. Actually, I just thought that the double was a bit. It should have been 54. I guessed that, but I did something wrong. Okay, anyway, that's fine. We have got it.
So can you please explain how you get the relation mg sin theta equals to mv square by?
Mg sin theta equal to, oh, I said that at that point, tension is going to be 0. There's no other force apart from mg at that point. Just the moment tension becomes 0. At that point, mg was this way. This angle is theta, this is 90, this becomes 90 minus theta. So mg cos 90 minus theta gives us what? Mg sin theta. So mg sin theta this way, that must provide the required centripetal acceleration at that very moment. After that, obviously leaving the circular path. At that moment, the tension has just become 0. Therefore, mg sin theta will be equal to mv square by L. Okay, that's what I said actually. Fine.
Oh, sir, and shouldn't there be another component means which will be providing the means tangential velocity?
The other component actually is providing the tangential acceleration, but don't require that. So I didn't consider that. That will be useful to determine the speed. If you wanted to obtain the speed by integrating, then you have to integrate tangential component actually. Okay. But we can just avoid that by using the energy conservation directly over there. Fine.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So that will be all for today, by the way. Next time. Yes, Ankit, this type of question come in JEE and they have come already. A number of occasions. I mean, nowadays things have become different.